Michael Carrick is the interim manager of Manchester United, and his goal, his mission, his aim is very, very clear. United need to be in European football next season. Whether that's the Europa League or the Champions League, we have to be playing more matches next year. Now, for Carrick to achieve that, it's quite obvious what he'll need. He'll need his best players sparkling and performing. He needs them on form, but he also needs to strike a basic tactical balance. The problem is it's difficult to do both of those things at the same time. It's difficult to have your best players and get a balance, especially when you've got Mbeumo and Amad. How do you get them both into the same team performing? Bear with me today. So let's start off by addressing the basic problem here. Bryan Mbeumo is Manchester United's top scorer. Despite playing at AFCON over the past few weeks, no player has scored more goals in a United shirt this season, so Mbeumo needs to play. He needs to be on the pitch. Then we've got Amad, Manchester United's best dribbling player. Probably our only 1-versus-1 specialist. Statistically, he's been United's best carrier, regularly carrying the ball into the penalty area, despite starting the season and playing large parts as a wing-back. The problem, though, is that they're both right wingers, realistically. They're both players that want to play wide on the right-hand side. They want to pick the ball up with a little bit of space, take their first touch inside the pitch onto their stronger left foot, and then look to score goals, create chances, and link up with teammates. But Carrick can't use them both on the right wing. It's not possible. They can't play the same position together, so I guess you just have to drop one of them and put them on the bench. Now, don't get me wrong, that sounds like great squad depth. Having either Mbeumo or Amad onto the pitch on the 60th minute against a tired defence sounds like an absolute dream, but I'm not content with that solution. For me, we need to try and find a way to get our two best attacking players on the pitch together. And I was thinking, and then I thought back to Michael Carrick's first spell as interim manager. There was a game against Arsenal where he used Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford on the pitch at the same time. Two right-footed wingers who both wanted to play on the left and come inside onto their stronger right foot, yet Carrick got them both into the team and found a solution. He used Jadon Sancho on the left and Marcus Rashford on the right. Now, the reason why he did that was because Carrick's initial United side wanted to move the ball down the left-hand side. That's where the team prioritised their attacking play. So Jadon Sancho had lots of players around him. He was playing in tight spaces, he was playing close-knit football, and he was sort of the one operating in tight zones. Meanwhile, Marcus Rashford on the other side was playing in large spaces. So Carrick, looking back, profiled them really well. Sancho is a tight space player who needs players around him, and he was given that on the left, and Marcus Rashford needs space to run into, and he was given that on the right. Now, just in case you haven't quite picked up what I'm putting down just yet, I'm suggesting we could do something similar at United now, but flip it. Amad could play on the right-hand side and Mbeumo could play on the left. And this isn't new to Mbeumo. He's played on the left before this season against Tottenham Hotspur under Ruben Amorim. So this isn't a brand new idea, but the execution would be a little bit different. I think when we look at Amad, we talk about a player who is great with combination play, his tight control is lovely, and he's great at dribbling. He's great at linking up with teammates. So we could put him on the right-hand side and surround him with technical players. Players that want to play with the ball, players that want to come to feet, but also players that are willing to go in behind as well. That dynamic could be really nice. Then it leaves Bryan Mbeumo on the far side. Now, when we talk about Bryan Mbeumo, we talk about a player who needs space. He wants to run forward, he wants to run onto the ball, he wants to score goals. Well, now putting him on the isolated left side could just be the way to do that. And weirdly, there's a chance being left-footed playing on the left could get him into easier goal-scoring situations. Now again, bear with me on this one. First of all, picture Bryan Mbeumo as a right-footed player. Just imagine Mbeumo is right-footed. So you build possession down the right, you have loads of build-up play, you draw the opposition over to this side, and then you free Mbeumo on the far side. If he's right-footed, as he wants to get the shot off, he has to come back inside the pitch towards the traffic that we've just escaped from, which isn't actually ideal. Whereas if he was left-footed, and again, we overload this side, we switch the ball to the far side, we isolate. If Mbeumo was left-footed, he could take his first touch away from defenders. He could get the ball away from the opposition before sort of firing low across the goalkeeper. It's not perfect for Mbeumo, it's slightly different to what he's done before, but it could actually turn him into this amazing finisher. We've seen something similar with Rafinha at Barcelona, sort of reinvented as this left-footed player who plays from the left and scores a ridiculous amount of goals. Now, don't worry, I am not saying Bryan Mbeumo should play exclusively on the left-hand side all by himself. I am of the opinion that all good football teams have the ability to be fluid and be rotational and move players into different zones. We've spent the first half of the season sort of working on an Mbeumo and Amad dynamic. At times it's worked really well, at times it doesn't work and the players sort of contradict each other and it doesn't work. But it would seem daft to sort of take 5 months of progress, 5 months of building this dynamic and completely get rid of it. So I think for Carrick to be successful with this attack, he needs to give them some freedom. Importantly, we have a player called Bruno Fernandes. Now, you've probably heard of him. He's pretty good at football and is amazing at facilitating space for other people because he's comfortable playing literally anywhere. We've seen that in his heat map this season. Despite starting deeper, Bruno has still covered pretty much every blade of grass, and he could do something similar here. In fact, Carrick asked him to do that exactly the same thing a few years ago. Bruno Fernandes was used in a rotational position, where he would often move out wide to allow the wingers to come inside. This would allow Amad and Mbeumo to get himself in the centre. Now we've got probably two of our best ball strikers, two of our best finishers at the club, both playing in the centre close to goal. And also, Mbeumo now, if you wanted to, would have that license to come and roam a little bit closer to the wing, to link up with Amad, where we can see that two-way movement, where perhaps Amad comes inside and Mbeumo goes wide, and then in the next moment they go the other way. Bruno Fernandes is sort of the key to all of this working, but we have Bruno Fernandes, so why not use him? And use him with Mbeumo and Amad to get the best out of them. A fluid attacking Manchester United side. Wingers that are allowed to swap positions and move to different sides of the pitch. You guys that know me will know that I am a fan of managers that do that. That swap their wingers, that move their forwards to create more confusion. The other thing to discuss here is the dynamics that you see on the two sides of the pitch, starting with the right hand side. Amad being that player who wants tight footwork, he wants to combine with people, so you need technical players around him. Kobbie Mainoo, Mazraoui, Bruno Fernandes, seems perfect. But also you need players that are willing to run in behind, to stretch and create some space. Bruno Fernandes, Benjamin Sesko, Amad will do it as well. So it works quite nicely in that way. You've got players that will come towards the ball and also players that will go away from the ball, which is exactly what you need. You've also got the ability to rotate laterally, horizontally as well. Amad does at times like to come inside onto his left, so you would need players that are willing to go outside and go around him. Well, fortunately, these three are all right-footed. They're all willing runners off of the ball. So again, that could work quite nicely. Now on the left it isn't so perfect, first of all because Mbeumo is a little bit out of position, but also because he is a little bit isolated, but I still think down the left we could see a good threat. Luke Shaw is a player that could be a runner overlapping down the left, allowing Mbeumo to come inside, getting one of our best goal scorers close to goal as frequently as possible. But in other moments, we could see a rotation, and that is something that our left side has lacked this season. Someone like Luke Shaw could make an underlapping run, allowing Mbeumo to play wide on the left-hand side, like we saw against Spurs earlier in the season. And Mbeumo was really dangerous from this position. He was a creative threat, but also a goal-scoring threat in the centre as well. This could work quite nicely, particularly if you get Bruno over there as well. Now, this side isn't perfect, but I think you can get it to work. Now, the other great thing about this approach and this setup is the transitional threat as well. Now, I think Carrick will come in and play a slightly slower brand of football. I think United will control and maintain possession for longer periods, really. But inevitably in the Premier League, there are moments where you've got to sit deep, where you've got to sort of absorb a little bit of pressure. But in those moments, you've also got to fire a rebound, throw a punch back with the counter-attack. And this idea, this approach could allow United to do that. You see, our forwards, our wide players, aren't playing tucked in with our striker, and they're also not playing at wing-back. They're playing in wide zones, where they're still helping defensively, that's very important, but they are in the position where they can spring in transition. And just imagine, you're a defender, right? You're a centre-back. Manchester United pick the ball up in a transitioning moment. You've got Bruno Fernandes or Casemiro on the ball, with their passing range, their vision. You've got Mbeumo running to your left. You've got Sesko through the middle, and you've got Amad down the right. Imagine that, just imagine being a defender in that moment, with Sesko at you, Mbeumo over here, Amad over here, Bruno on the ball trying to play a ball over the top. It would be an absolute nightmare to try and deal with, and for me this is what United should be. Slow, controlled football, sure, I like it, but we also need to have that punch. We need to be fast, we need to be direct sometimes. And again, this transitioning threat with Amad and Mbeumo on the two sides could just be absolutely lethal because there's running power from literally everywhere. And again, of course, in moments, you could switch them over. You could ask them to play a slightly different role, where Mbeumo now cuts in from the right to score his goals, and Amad goes outside. I just think it's something that could work at United. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm aware this isn't perfect. We are taking Amad and Mbeumo and moving him away from his favoured position. But I think finding a perfect balance at United right now is quite difficult because we don't have a perfect squad. We've got a good squad. We've got a very good squad. But we lack a certain profile on the left side of the attack. We've spoken about this for the past year now, really. United lacking proper left wingers that we trust at this football club. A solution maybe is to move one of our right wingers to the left, to change the way that we play, to change the attacking threat. Now, like I said, we don't have to use Mbeumo there for every single game. Maybe this is just something that we see occasionally, or, you know, sometimes Cunha can come into that role, or Amad will shift to the left, or Mason Mount might play on the left. But I do think in some games where we want to play with that punch, particularly when we play fast, Mbeumo on the left, Amad on the right, with Bruno in between them, could be absolutely lethal and could make United a fast, dangerous attacking side. So it's something that I would like to see tried at some point. I'd like to see how that team would get on. But that is very much a case of waiting and sort of seeing and assessing what Michael Carrick is going to do. For now, we are waiting and waiting and waiting, so there's nothing left to talk about, so we're going to stop the video there. Thank you guys very much for watching this one. Thank you again for your support recently, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.